It was very early on in their relationship when Harry is bowled over by Meghan, is desperately in love.
It was supposed to be the fairy tale that healed a fractured monarchy. On a spring morning in May 2018, the world watched Meghan Markle walk into St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle to marry Prince Harry, a wedding broadcast to hundreds of millions of people across the globe. The flowers, the choir, the carriage procession through the streets of Windsor. Every frame of it was built to look effortless. But years later, veteran royal biographer Tom Bower would revisit that day and the years surrounding it, and paint a picture that looked very different from the one the cameras captured. Bower has spent decades writing unauthorized biographies of powerful figures, and in his books on the Sussexes, first Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War between the Windsors in 2022, and later Betrayal, Power, Deceit, and the Fight for the Future of the Royal Family, he laid out claim after claim about what he says was really happening behind the palace walls. Today, we're breaking down 10 of the ugliest claims Bower has made about that wedding and the relationship behind it. Before we start, it's worth saying plainly, these are Bower's claims and interpretations, not proven facts, and Harry and Meghan's camp has pushed back hard on nearly all of them. We'll cover both sides so you can decide for yourself. Let's get into it. One of Bower's central arguments is that the Harry the public knew before 2016, the cheerful playboy prince, as tabloids used to call him, became a fundamentally different person during his relationship with Meghan. Bower has written that Harry grew consumed by a desire to settle scores with the institution he grew up in, describing him as increasingly bitter and prone to emotional extremes. It's a striking claim because it suggests the transformation wasn't just about falling in love, but about a deeper psychological shift. Critics of Bower point out that biographers with an agenda often frame ordinary personal growth or independence as something darker, and that Harry himself has publicly described his own reasons for stepping back from royal life, reasons rooted in his mental health, his experiences with the press, and his desire to protect his family, not personal vendetta. According to Bower, one of the clearest signs of the shift inside Harry's inner circle was practical and almost mundane. He simply became harder to reach. Bower's reporting suggests some of Harry's oldest friends found themselves gradually eased out of his daily life, with communication slowing to the point of silence. Friends and former palace insiders who've spoken to other outlets over the years have offered competing explanations, some suggesting it was a natural consequence of moving abroad and starting a new chapter, others suggesting real rifts did occur, particularly around the 2017 Sandringham shooting weekend, which several accounts, including Bower's, describe as a tense turning point where old friends and the new couple didn't mesh well. Royal weddings have historically leaned on family continuity, generations of the same friends, tenants, and courtiers filling the pews. The 2018 wedding broke that mold, with a guest list that included global celebrities and public figures with limited prior connection to the couple, sitting alongside royal family staples. Bower and other critics have suggested this reflected a shift from a private family milestone towards something closer to a global media event. Defenders of the couple would counter that royal weddings have always attracted a mix of political and celebrity guests. William and Kate's 2011 wedding included plenty of famous faces too, and that having friends from Meghan's Hollywood career was neither unusual nor scandalous for a woman who had built an entire adult life and career before meeting Harry. Bower has reported that several members of staff described the run-up to the wedding as unusually demanding, citing frequent changes to plans and a more hands-on, exacting approach from Meghan than staff were used to. This has echoed other reporting, most notably stories that circulated in UK tabloids in late 2018, alleging tension between Meghan and staff over the flower girl dresses for Princess Charlotte. Meghan and Harry have firmly and repeatedly denied any allegations that Meghan bullied staff, and Buckingham Palace's own internal review into bullying allegations, launched in 2021, did not result in any public finding against her. It's worth noting that difficult to work for and workplace bullying are very different claims, and the specifics here remain contested rather than settled. The world already knew Thomas Markle didn't walk his daughter down the aisle. That much played out in humiliating detail in the tabloid press, complete with staged paparazzi photos and a last-minute heart attack that kept him from attending. Bauer's contribution to this story is the suggestion that the distance between Meghan and her father wasn't a sudden rupture caused by the paparazzi scandal, but something that had been quietly building for months beforehand. Meghan herself, in her 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, described her father's actions around the wedding as a betrayal that broke her heart, without going into detail about the years before. The exact timeline and cause of the estrangement remains one of the most guarded parts of Meghan's personal life, and neither she nor her father have laid out a full public account that resolves the question either way. It wasn't only Thomas Markle missing that day. Meghan's half-siblings and other extended family were absent too, leaving her mother, Doria Ragland, as the only member of her immediate family present. Bauer frames this as evidence of a broader pattern of Meghan distancing herself from her origins as she moved into a more elite world. A more sympathetic reading, one Meghan herself has offered in interviews, is that she was never particularly close with her half-siblings from her father's first marriage to begin with, and that the wedding simply reflected relationships that already existed long before Harry entered the picture. This was one of the most explosive lines to come out of Bauer's 2026 book Betrayal, excerpted in the Times in March of that year. It alleged that Camilla told a friend Meghan had brainwashed her husband, and that William and Kate had come to see Meghan as a threat rather than an ally within the family. Harry and Meghan's spokesperson responded immediately and forcefully, calling the book a deranged conspiracy, and accusing Bauer of having crossed the line from criticism into fixation, pointing to a past remark of his suggesting the monarchy's survival depended on distancing itself from the Sussexes. This is about as contested as royal reporting gets, a second-hand quote attributed anonymously, denied in the strongest possible terms by the people it's about. Also from Betrayal, Bauer reported claims that some around Harry felt Meghan's presence at Invictus events shifted focus away from the wounded veterans the Games were built to honor, with one characterization describing her as more of a distraction than a support. This struck many observers as one of the harsher allegations in the book, precisely because Invictus is widely regarded as Harry's proudest and most personally meaningful project. Meghan has spoken publicly, including on stage at Invictus events, about her support for veterans and their families, and supporters of the couple have argued that painting a military spouse's visible presence at a veterans event as attention-seeking sets an unfair standard that wouldn't be applied to other royal spouses. This is perhaps Bauer's broadest and most speculative claim, that the entire arc of the relationship, including the choice of guests, the media coverage, and the timing of major decisions, reflected long-term strategic thinking about visibility and opportunity rather than simply two people falling in love and getting married. It's an interpretation that's impossible to prove or disprove definitively, since intention is not something biographers can access directly. They can only infer it from actions and outcomes. What's true is that Harry and Meghan's post-royal career, from their Netflix and Spotify deals to Meghan's lifestyle brand, has been financially substantial. Whether that reflects premeditated planning or simply two well-known, capable people building new careers after leaving official royal duties is a matter of interpretation, not documented fact. From the earliest days of the relationship, commentators drew parallels between Meghan and Harry's late mother. The sense of a compassionate outsider bringing new energy into a rigid institution. Bauer's reporting suggests that inside the palace, some saw this comparison as premature or even uncomfortable, given how much of Diana's public standing was built over years of visible service rather than a sign from the very start. It's a fair point that comparisons to Diana get attached to almost every new royal woman by the media, often within weeks of a relationship becoming public, regardless of what that person has or hasn't done yet. Whether that reflects a deliberate campaign or simply the tabloid media's well-worn habit of reaching for the most emotionally resonant narrative available is very much up for debate. So where does that leave us? Tom Bauer is not a neutral narrator. He has built a long career on unauthorized, often unflattering biographies of powerful people, and by his own account has views about the monarchy's future that put him squarely at odds with Harry and Meghan's camp. His sourcing in these books often relies on anonymous friends, aides, and unnamed insiders, the kind of sourcing that can capture real sentiment inside an institution as guarded as the British royal family, but that's also inherently difficult to verify or challenge. On the other side, Harry and Meghan have every reason to dispute claims that paint them in the worst possible light, and their rebuttals have been consistent and pointed, right down to accusing Bauer of fixation rather than journalism. What we're left with ultimately is a story with two deeply incompatible versions. One where a young royal fell in love and simply built a modern, independent life with the woman he chose, and another where a calculating relationship reshaped a prince, fractured a family, and monetized a fairy tale. The truth, as it usually is with stories this contested, probably isn't fully either one. It sits somewhere in the tension between them, in the space where a real marriage, real family dynamics, and real institutional pressure all collided under the brightest media spotlight in the world. What do you think? Does Bauer's reporting hold up, or is this the kind of speculative royal biography that says more about the author than the subjects? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe.